Now that you have your basic facilities already built, let's go ahead and talk about your advanced facilities. These would be within everything after your materials factory. This is your Metal Works, your aircraft maintenance factory, your Infantry Kit Factory, your ammunition factory, your small and large pads, dry dock, field modification center, coal refinery or refinery, the 4 different transfer stations, the catwalks, which I don't ever build or utilize because I don't necessarily like large ball too much. Your stacker, i.e., your foreman crane, your sky hauler, and your rocket pad. So you have 3 metalworks right in front of you. Just right off the rip, you can make process construction materials with cements and components. 3 cements with 20 components for 1 process construction material. And you can also make pipes with these, which is utilized for transferring and maintaining your fuel in refuel status, especially whenever you have a generator such as the petrol power plant over here that requires power. Now the upgrades are the blast furnace, the recycler, and the engineering station. So we're gonna go engineering station on the left, recycler in the middle, and the blast furnace on the right. Once I grab the rest of the construction materials from this magic box and we put them in here. We only need 50 more because I have 100 in there, and the upgrade for it is 150 process construction materials. Here we interact, stockpile. If you were transporting them by hand or by vehicle, you put them in the inventory. So upgrade, ensure you have the required amount and the item that you need to upgrade, and you left click. After a little bit, a couple of seconds, maybe 3 to 5, you will have yourself the upgraded building. And ensure that you're not standing too close to it. This way you're able to go ahead and modify it as such. And I do have a sign here saying, hey, I'm friendly, please don't shoot. But we'll see how well that lasts. The blast furnace. We're going to talk about the one that does not cost process construction materials, your recycler. Now, your recycler is where you can make what people like to refer to as vegan process construction materials. If you have an assembly bay, which is an upgraded version of the materials factory over here, you can make the beans at it. Its cost for 1 process construction material is 5 cements, 1 metal beam, and 10 liters of heavy oil for 1 process construction material. And here you have damaged components, which can also be turned into components, and when you take them to the refinery, they turn into refined materials. Next, your blast furnace. This is where a more refined version of your assembly materials and also your process construction materials, plus your rare alloys, are made. You have your assembly material 3s, which require cement, sulfur in order to make 1, 3 cements, and 20 sulfur. Your assembly material 4s require 1 pecan or process construction material and 66 liters of fuel. For the process construction material that's being used by components, the recipe calls for 3 cements construction materials, 55 components, and 6 liters of heavy oil. And for your rare alloys, it requires rare metal, coke, which is found in the coke furnace over here. And its recipe calls for 20 rare metals, 5 process construction material, and 6 coke for 1 rare alloy. And the rare alloys look like this whenever you pull them out. You set them down. They literally look like a shiny tube. Basically how I can explain it. The next item and last item for the forge and its upgrades will be the engineering station, which is used for your heavier stuff, such as your self-propelled guns and your battle tanks and super heavies, as well as other items that you need to make on the pads. You have steel construction materials, 2 different style recipes, and your assembly material 5s. Your first recipe for your steel construction materials is 3 processed construction materials, 200 coke, 65 sulfur, and 35 liters of heavy oil. Your second recipe, it requires 9 processed construction material, 375 coke, 90 liters of enriched oil, which is later refined in a oil refinery, and 100 liters of water. Basically, you have 2 pipe inputs located right here, for one for water, one for your enriched oil. And last but not least, you have your assembly material 5s. These are rather expensive if you take in the grand scheme of things, because they require steel, 2 additional variants of your assembly materials. It requires 3 steel, 245 coke, and 10 of each assembly material 1 and assembly material 2s for just 1 assembly material 5. This is mainly used for items on the large pad and another variant of the small pad. Next up, we are going to talk about the aircraft maintenance facility. Next, we have the aircraft maintenance factory. And I figured out where the hookup for power is. It is on the side where the barrels are. Now, here's a question. If you have a structure that takes more than 12 processed construction materials, how do you build it fast? Here's the solution. I have in the construction vehicle, the CV, 1 processed construction material. I have loaded up 200 processed construction materials on the flat cars. I am going to get this as close to the rail as physically possible. Get 1 ticket. I'm gonna move this up so that I'm not trapped by stuff. And I'm gonna hop on. I'm gonna take my cursor and move it over as far left as possible and left click. And then I'm gonna double check to ensure that it did not go into anywhere else it did not need to go, which is a good sign. I'm gonna do the same thing with the back car. Move it up so that I can access and not get stuck. Hop on, cursor as far over as possible, left click, and repeat the process. I'm gonna pull another 100 processed construction materials from the magic box, and I'm gonna do the same exact thing. The reason why it's easier to do this instead of constantly going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, is because you're taking the full stack of 100 from your flat car to the item that is needing to be built. There should be around 51 to 50 left on here whenever this is done. If you know, I get it close enough. So hop on, boom. And then, there you go. Because of the 1 item, the 1 process construction material that was used in the ECV, plus the other ones on here. So now we get to see what everything looks like in its own process. But first and foremost, we need to hook up the power. And as I said, the power hookup, if you see the side of the barrels, which is right here, along with the propeller prop, like the airplane propellers, it is on the same side. Basically, look for the light with the hanger. It's on the left side. Hook up and hook up. And now we are functional. So from here, and I didn't even know there was an upgrade to this either. This is completely new to me. So I have no idea what to expect from this, how it's going to be, you know, carried, and everything else. So for the Colonial Aircraft Mechanics part, which is small, it requires 20 process construction materials, 20 assembly material 3s, 1 rare alloy, and you get 5 of them. It takes 20 minutes just to make that one recipe. Moving down, we have the mechanical parts, small, a singular item. Cut that by a fifth, minus the rare alloy. But it also includes needing the damaged Colonial Aircraft mechanical part. I don't see how you can do that. Like, you can make that here. That's basically recovering the items that you need. Moving forward with the Colonial Aircraft engine, you need the following: 20 process construction materials, 20 assembly material 4s, 1 rare alloy, which makes 5 of these. And then if you've recovered it, basically replace the rare alloys with this damaged small engine, and you get a singular. I want to take a look at what the recipes and everything else is on this one real quick. So let's do this. I'm going to fill this up to the brink, and we're going to fully see what everything is like, what everything's capability is, and go from there. This is all for the advanced facilities. This is for seeing what every recipe is. This is seeing what each item takes. So let's go ahead and throw these into the stockpiles. So I need assembly materials 3s and 4s. So might as well go ahead and throw those in there as well. And here's an easy way to annotate and see exactly what each one looks like based on their icon. And this is why having the icon mod is crucial. If you take a look right next to the facility building icon, you can see it's coke, petrol, sulfur, heavy oil, enriched oil. That is how I am able to identify it really fast. So within this, it was only 3s and 4s that I needed. What about the other stuff? 3s and 4s. Okay. So we go magic box. We go assembly material 3. I'm going to grab 200, throw it in there, see what this looks like, and go from there. Turn off the auto clicker, click the other one, and away we go. Yippee! Aircraft maintenance. Boom and boom. That's 200 3s. Let's go 200 4s. And honestly, the magic boxes with the dev branch is the only area you're going to see an infinite amount of supply, especially with the rares. You will not see this anywhere else. Submit this, and we are going to grab 200 rare alloys as well, because you need 15 for the upgrade by itself. And it's just easier to go ahead and just grab an absurd amount, throw it in the stockpile, and just go. Again, this is on dev branch. You can see on the pre-release. Here's also a very, very easy way to spot rares on any type of outside storage. It's shiny. It's extremely shiny. It's factory. Submit, submit. And now we see what this looks like with it fully upgraded. And it actually looks like a legitimate aircraft workshop. So, with this, we'll go public. We'll make one. Or not. Oh, I need process construction. That's what I forgot. Okay. I know I forgot something. There goes somebody either demoing or making, or just forgot to supply their stuff. And there's a reason why I have stuff inside the inventory and stuff inside the stockpile. If people just need to come by and grab the stuff on the fly, they are able to do so. I'm not going to stop them. Okay. Let's see. What are we missing? Rare alloy. We have 3s. Turn this on. Construction material, assembly material. Oh, that's right. Never mind. I know why. I'm out of power. So we are going to fill up the coal power plant with things, and once I reconnect, we will resume. Okay, I am back to the region I was in. It does happen from time to time when you lose connectivity to the server. It's a live service game. What do you expect? So it's gonna happen no matter what. Even if I'm, in the process of recording stuff, it's just the nature of the game. The good thing is it's a quick recovery time. The reason for anything of that happening is somebody probably reported something to the devs and they deemed it critical, or one of the community mods decided to be a little bit of a memester and cause a little bit of chaos towards the other faction. Both can also be true. So, do I care? No, I don't. The only thing I care about is being able to showcase the stuff and the recipes as they are in the building that I'm working on. Oh, hey, look, it's my body. Punch myself. Like that. All right. So we did not. So they did roll it back a little bit. So I'm gonna have to put in the 200 alloys, the 200 AM3s, the 200 AM4s, and go from there. So let's start with the alloys first. And let's just hope that it doesn't roll back again. If it rolls back again, I can say, oh, I'm the reason for it. But aside from that, like, I'm not overly concerned. Let me put that in here. Don't want it here. Grab this. Get the auto clicker. Accidentally started pulling the cements, and I do not need the cement. I needed the rare alloys, and if it wanted to pull anything else, I would have gladly appreciated the 3s or 4s. Let's go ahead and drop the 200 off in here again. Box. There's several recipes of needing both. That's why I'm going a little bit on overkill on abundance for the 3s and the 4s. I'd rather have more instead of less. We have more for, you know, trying to make something. We get away with essentially ensuring that we're good to go. That's 3s, and here's the 4s. Here. Boom, boom. Here, here, and click here. Now we get to see what each one looks like. And this is gonna make 5. We go. Oh, actually, hold on. Before we do that, the stockpile, submit the stockpile, and submit the stockpile. Get back up and upgrade it. But it takes 15 rare alloys to upgrade, which makes it very expensive. Let's go public and take a look down at stuff. And this is why I grabbed an abundance. Strategic, this is a large part. So this is probably meant to pull with a crane and or a large gauge rail. So this will probably take a full minute or two to do, and with that I'm going to fast forward it here, and I'm going to do the same with these with this one, the large part and the engine. So, power fast forward. Let's go. Alright, one thing I would like to note is I didn't see these steel beams. So, now back to fast forward. Okay. Well, let's see how we can retrieve these. If it is by crane, if it's by small gauge, if you need a large gauge. So let's see. Here's my stockpiles. And the small, same here. Let's go with here and see. Only be carried in stockpiles. I'm confused now. So how do you how do you get this from here to the other area? In order to get it to move. Let's try one more approach before we see if this was off or not. I'm gonna grab the crane, I'm gonna bring it over, and then we're gonna see if this is how you retrieve the items. If this is how you retrieve the items, then you're gonna need one of these built up by an airfield in order to do so. Again, this is actual testing while recording this video because I want people to understand how it's done so nobody is lost, so to speak. Items can only be carried in stockpiles to multiple retrieve, retrieve. Okay. Last item that I'm going to check will be with the flatbed, which would make sense, honestly. Okay. So whenever I get the testing or whenever I get confirmation on how to retrieve this, I will annotate in the video and also go forward and add the solution that I was able to find. But basically, that's what's required of all this. So yeah. Next one we have will be the Infantry Kit Factory plus everything that's needed to upgrade it and make the items. For ease of access, to pull the items from the aircraft maintenance factory and the strategic maintenance hangar, you are going to want a hauler plus the Rooster tumble box. Now, the hauler itself can be made on the small assembly station at a field station. I will go over those here shortly on the small assembly stations and what their upgrades are. The cost of the taurine itself, the heavy hauler, is 40 processed construction materials. Nothing more. 10 IRL minutes. You are also going to want 10 refined materials, or RMATs, to build the basic toe box, if you will, of this. The upgraded variant is known as a tumble box. It requires 10 processed construction materials and 5 assembly materials too. It's also made on the same pad as the taurine hauler or the heavy hauler. And same thing with the Warden side for whatever theirs is called on their side. I will be doing a video in depth on every vehicle from both sides of both factions. Once you are inside the hauler, you're going to interact with the maintenance factory or maintenance hangar, whichever. You're going to select the trailer. Then you can select whatever you want. Now keep in mind, the capacity of this is 1 of 2. Only store one specific type, meaning you can pull 2 of these items, 2 of the small parts at a time. We're going to submit this back to the stockpile. The engines are probably of the same variety. No, you can only pull 1 engine at a time. The larger items, you can pull and hold 2 of the mechanical parts, which actually have their own metric to it, at a time. The large aircraft engine, it is only 1 at a time. And this actually looks dope. You would then take this to wherever you are assembling, building your plane, which would be an aircraft hangar, and you are indeed good to go. It literally took 1 question and 1 answer. That's it. Next one that we are going to talk about will be your Infantry Kit Factory, or IKF. There are 3 variable upgrades with it. One being the special issues firearm assembly, one being the small arms workshop, and the other one being the heavy munitions foundry. Before we get to any of these within the upgrades, let's talk about briefly what each one what each cost is. For a specific unit, for any specific uniform, such as your flak vest, your engineering uniform, your grenadier, your medic, officers, oil coat, your recon camo, i.e. partisan uniform, your snow uniforms, your tank uniforms and your sea uniforms. Now notice, there is not a basic cost for your aerial uniforms, i.e. your pilot uniforms, and your paratroop uniforms. Those are very specific. Every single one of these is a 2 hour and 15-minute complete time. And they all cost cements, construction materials. 220 for 10 crates of disassembled crates. Where if you put it in the stockpile here, once this queue is done, it will go into the crated areas. So you have 220 for 10 flak vests, 110 for 10 engineering uniforms, 110 for 10 grenadier, same price for medics, same price for officers, same price for your oil coat, same price for your recon, same price for your snow uniform, same price for your tanker uniform, and same price for your sea uniforms. Now, this one, we're going to upgrade this to your special issues firearm assembly, or whichever one is, oh no, this one we are going to upgrade to heavy munitions foundry. The one behind us will be the special issue firearm, and the one to the right will be the small arms workshop. So, as always, oh wait, 250. Switch these two then. As always, ensure you have the correct amount and what you were upgrading. And you just left click when you're not blocking the stuff. So let's get these three upgraded first, and then we will talk about recipes and what they do here in a little bit. Right, yeah. And moving on to the back. Now, I'm going to be honest, if you are doing an ammo facility, it is highly advised to have a heavy munitions foundry. As you're already transporting the heavy explosive powder up to your facility, you can transport it up here as well. So, let's start with the small arms workshop. You still have the basic uniform recipes for all three. What changes is what's available. For your small arms, you now require to have explosive powder, which is made at the refineries. Salvage. From here, you have 10 crates of the following: shrapnel mortars, flare mortars, heavy explosive mortars, ignifists, AT sticky grenades, 14.5 millimeter anti-tank ammo, and smoke grenades. The following: for shrapnel, 10 crates of shrapnel, 110 explosive powder, 65 CMAT. For your mortars, your flare mortars, 80 explosive powder, 55 CMATs. For your high explosive mortar, 385 explosive powder, 65 CMATs. Your ignifist for crate of 10, 385 explosive powder and 95 CMATs. Your sticky grenades, 550 explosive powder and 55 CMATs. Your 14.5 millimeter anti-tank ammo is just CMATs. It is 110 for 10 crates. That's actually relatively cheap. And your smoke grenades is 135 for 10 crates a piece. All the crates in here are disassembled, which means you will have to take them to a storage depot or a seaport, drop them in order for them to be assembled. If you want to drop them for storage, the crate transfer station will store it. It does not assemble the crates. Now, your heavy munitions foundry. This is where you can make your 40 mil, 68 millimeter, 30 millimeter, your AP RPGs, your ARC RPGs, your regular RPGs, and your tremolas. The following conversion rates are as follows: 175 CMATs, 1,320 explosive powder; 130 CMATs, 1,320 explosive powder; 30 mil is 45 CMATs, 220 explosive powder. And you note the times too: 5 hours, 5 hours, 2.5, 2.5, 2.5, 2.5, 2 hours. 45 CMATs, 220 explosive powder for your 30 mil. Then your AP RPGs is 65 CMATs and 825 explosive powder. Your ARC RPGs is 65 CMATs, 825 explosive powder. Your regular RPGs is 65 CMATs, 495 explosive powder. And your tremolas are 80 CMATs and 550 explosive powder. This is the one I would go with if I had my own ammunition pack. Last but not least, we have the special issue firearms. This is where you have your quick hatch anti-tank sniper rifle, your Veil with or Dawn VE2, which is your anti-tank rifle, your incendiary mortars, your paratrooper uniform, your pilot uniform, and your paratroopers. This is where things come into play, and these are very, very expensive when we get from here down. For your special issue firearms assembly, you need one crate, or how many crates do you need? You need, one crate of auger sniper rifles, 10 process construction materials, 5 assembly material ones. And that is a 2-hour time, that is a 2-minute timer for a single crate of your quick catches. Next is your Dawn anti-tank rifles. You need 1 crate of dust, 3 process construction materials, 5 assembly material 2s, and you will receive 1 crate of the Dawn anti-tank rifles. Your incendiary mortars, you need 1 crate of shrapnel, 5 construction materials, and 1 flame ammo specifically made at an ammo facility for 1 crate of incendiary mortars. This is where things get a little pricey. For your paratrooper uniforms, you need 1 crate of recon uniforms, 10 process construction materials for 1 crate of paratrooper uniforms. Now, it is noted right here, you have a high chance of not being detected by enemy intelligence when you parachute out. Currently, right now, the dev stated 30 minutes. A lot of people think that it's kind of high. This is where the expense is questionable. You might want to have skilled people doing this. For your pilot uniforms, you need 1 crate of officer uniforms and 1 rare alloy for 1 pilot uniform. Again, high chance of not being detected by enemy intelligence. And then you have your paratroopers backpack, which is 20 construction materials. Those are relatively cheap. The time on this one is relatively fast, and I like it, but I don't like the cost. Just my own personal preference. Next, we go over my personal favorite, which is the ammunition, the ammunition factory. The part, my personal favorite, the ammunition facilities. So here we have 3 blueprints, and we're going to quickly, just like before, finish them out by hopping on and left-clicking on the buildings themselves. And I think that just got submitted to the ammo pack itself, which is fine because I'm going to need 175 regardless to upgrade it to the large shell facility anyways, which I will talk more about here in a second. Let's go ahead and get at least 35. I already have that one in there, so 35 plus the additional 25. We'll just go an even 100. Screw it. Why not? You know? Ammunition facilities that are strategically placed can, in fact, ensure the survivability of a hex that is being actively invaded, as well as actively defend and repel people who are trying to capture a strategic area. Every time that I've done an ammo facility, I've come across multiple successful strategic placements, so I can effectively be that asset that people want and people need when it comes to ensuring the survivability of a hex. And we will probably have to redo that here in a second. So I will resume once I'm reconnected. Okay, now that we are back, I've gone in, built all 3 ammo facilities. Let's ensure that I have the items required in their respective stockpiles, which would be this. So the first one is going to be the large shell battery, or large shell factory. The second one is going to be the rocket battery, and the third one is going to be the tripod facility. Rocket workshop, and then we're going to touch on the tripod facility first. Actually, before we touch on the tripod facility, I want you to take a look at the distinctive features on an ammunition facility, because for like the upgraded variants, most do not pay attention to this. If you see a tripod facility, look at the bottom of where the tower is, or on the sides where you can see what looks like ammunition containers. For rockets, you see the barrels. Those are also, and you also have the fuselage areas right here as well. Sort of like canisters and what looks like frames for rockets. And then the large shell, it's kind of obvious to see the shell of the ammunition that are being used. So we're going to touch on the tripod facility. You have all the basic stuff of the ammunition facility. This all takes either explosive powder, heavy explosive powder, which is making sulfur, or an additional ammunition type. We'll start with the flame ammo. Yep, 1 per, and you note the time. The times are not that bad, except for thermal shielding, which is close to a half hour. This is just baseline. For your basics of it, flame ammo is 4 HE powder, 1 CMAT, 250, which is used to crack extremely hard bases. It is 24 HE powder and 5 CMATs. Your personnel mine, i.e. your crow's feet, which people love to troll town halls and relic bases with. 2 explosive powder, 2 CMATs. Your 18 mine, same conversion rate, but instead of explosive powder, it's heavy explosive powder. It's a 2 and 2 to a 1 mine. Your C mines are 8 heavy explosive powder and 1 CMAT. Your thermal shielding is 2 CMATs and 5 assembly material 4s for 1 thermal shielding, which plays a bigger factor into certain things such as submarines, ships, structure parts, etc. Next, you have your Fury Shell. This is also used to breach by a spigot mortar. This is the Colonial's push gun. The 250 on this. The 250 is used by a ballista to crack stuff. This is also used by chieftains as well. But the Fury Shell requires 15 CMATs, 24 heavy explosive powder, and 1 250 shell. Next, we have your hull breaker mine. Your sea mines, the ones that damage ships. 8 CMATs. And last but not least, on all just the base of all 3 variants of the ammo facility, is your 20mm shrapnel. It only costs 4 CMATs. Now, your tripod facility, the tripod factory, I should say, it's very useful for when you need immediate setup or specific weapons that are being made. I would recommend people making one of these, just a basic ammo facility, and upgrading it to a tripod facility if they cannot afford to upgrade to a rocket battery or a large shell facility. Tripods, which are used to, help mounted weapons function, 2 CMATs. Then you have your 30mm ISG, 3 CMATs. Then you have your Typhon 20mm, but still labeled 20mm, but it's a 14.5mm anti-tank rifle, 3 CMATs. Your Lamentum 12.7mm machine gun, 3 CMATs. Your Fisher grenade launcher cost 3 CMATs. Your Lark flag, if you will, it cost 1 CMAT, 1 assembly material, 1. The times are not that bad, to be honest, and the recipes are very worthwhile. Now, your rocket battery. You have 3C rockets, which deal high explosive damage. They do not cause fire. They are specifically designed to crack open stuff. 4 HE powder, 2 CMATs. Your 4 C fire rockets, which cause fire. 4 HE powder, 2 CMATs. Your unstable substances, which are extremely useful in the means of creating 300mm, as well as the V1 rocket, i.e. the nuke. It requires, and I am not making this up, 8 HE powder, 3 flame ammo, and 30 minutes apiece. And remember, the flame ammo, it requires 3 of them. So if you're looking at a total of 75 seconds, which is a minute and 15 seconds per. And then you have your shatter missile. It requires 28 HE powder and 15 CMATs. This facility and this facility go hand in hand. You will understand why. Now we are on the large shell facility. Your 75mm shell, which is used for battle tanks and the Ares super heavy tank, as well as a push 75mm. Don't remember what it's called right now, but we will get to that when we get to all the weapons. 8 HE powder and 2 CMATs. Your 94.5 armor piercing shell. 8 HE powder, 2 cement. Your 300mm shell for storm cannons and railstorm cannons alike. This is why I said the rocket facility and the shell facility go hand in hand. It costs 2 unstable substances and 10 assembly material 4s for 1 shell. Your 120 is 2 and 2 HE powder, 2 cement. Your 150 is a cost of 12 HE powder and 3 cement. Your depth charge which is used primarily on boats, is 8 HE powder and 2 cement. Your moray torpedoes are 16 HE powder and 2 processed construction material. Your Mark II raid breaker, which is used for bombers, 16 HE powder, 1 processed construction material. And your anti-aircraft shell, 3 HE powder, 2 cement. Your Shrike rounds, which are launched from the dive bomber, it is 12 HE powder and 1 processed construction material. Those are all the variables. That is everything that you can produce inside of each ammo facility. I will have the shells and stuff made for each whenever I cover all vehicles, and I'm going to fire it at the border. For the RSC, I'm gonna fire it to the south. Don't hit anybody. Maybe I'm hit Judas. Who knows? Maybe. We'll find that out. Up next for the facilities, we're gonna skip over the 2 pads. We're gonna cover the field modification center. Be back in a jiff. Okay. I know I said next would be just the field modification center. I went on and built the coal refineries and the oil refineries to speed things up a little, because the small assembly stations are going to be a bit of an adventure. So with the field modification center, it may look like there is a roof here, but it's indeed open top. With it, this is where you go to upgrade the armor on something. Say I wanted to upgrade the Touring right here, the heavy hauler, to the next tier of like armor or something. Well, first and foremost, you need power. So let's hook this up. There's power. There's enough power. And it requires 150 construction materials. It's not a bad cost for it to essentially become higher in the tier on things. And I'll show you what I mean with the tiers and everything. So, come in here, drop the stuff off. All you do, first and foremost, you got to make sure your armor in the vehicle is, or the armor at least, is repaired. And then second, you pull it in, hop out, and you select the vehicle. Along with that, vehicle inventory must be empty. We are good to go. So when you select it, it now has camo. This is now a vetted or tier 2 vehicle. To do it again, it requires 450 construction materials. So let's go ahead and get the required amount. It's 300, 400, 500. Submit all, and there we go. Now it is a tier 3. Now I do not believe it'll go any higher than tier 3. Grab another 150, or another 50 I should say. And let's see. Vehicle is already fully upgraded. So, when you see any vehicle or any placement style item that is within the selection of the menu, the Zyphos, the Cuscio, etc., all of this, all the way down to a dump truck, or a spear tip, or even a hauler, when you see it vetted like such with this camo, you'll get the maximum amount. Now, what it does is it provides it an armor boost and survivability. That is basically it. It doesn't provide any speed boost. It doesn't provide any boost to any type of guns or anything of that nature. That is your field modification in a nutshell. Your coal refineries. Let's go ahead and upgrade these real quick, so I can go over each. And you'll notice each one requires its own. So your coke furnace requires 200 CMET. Your liquefier requires 20 processed construction materials, and advanced coal liquefier requires 40 steel construction materials. Coke furnace basically takes the coal, produces the coke, and has sulfur as a byproduct. It's a low quantity compared to the sulfur mine and sulfur field, but so long as you have power and coal in them, you are constantly making sulfur. Maximum amount in the stockpile of it is 32,000. For your liquefier, this is where concrete can be made as a byproduct. On top of oil, you have coal plus water. You make concrete, sulfur, and oil, and not a bad amount either. Same amount in the stockpile as the first one, apply to the second one. And in your advanced coal liquefiers, you have two to select from. You have the coal liquefier recipe, and then the heavy oil recipe. Most will request, if you are at a coal liquefier, to put the heavy oil queue on, so that people are able to refine the heavy oil into enriched oil, enriched oil, and go from there. This way they have fuel for their bigger vehicles. Now, your oil refinery, it is dependent on what you are upgrading. So let's start with the reformer. Moving on to the cracking unit. Finally, the pet plant. Now, if you ever see one of these at a sulfur field, that is people purposely harvesting the sulfur and placing it in their own quote-unquote private area. Now, your reformer, your very first one, this is where you are able to get petrol at a much faster rate than what you would with your normal. Yeah, oil and water, and and it just basically makes it 40 liters or 40 liters in 10 to 50 versus 50 liters to 50. That's basically it. Most will ignore the reformer because it automatically does the petrol, and we'll just go straight to the cracking unit. Cracking unit is what makes your heavy oil. This is what your bigger vehicles like your battle tanks and your large ships and other stuff operate with. This is a very, very valuable resource once it is available. And then last but not least, your petrochemical. This is where enriched oil comes to play. Enriched oil is used for, say, your super heavies. This is what this is where you want somebody who is a master of an oil field. 2 or 3 of these on standby, because without them, you're not going to function very well. And that's basically it with these 3. And the next area I'm going to cover, the next areas I'm going to cover are the small, like every small assembly station that you can build. The small pad production area. Now, you'll recall earlier, I've already gone and upgraded one to a specific pad so that I can get a taurine and a little trailer to maneuver the pieces of the aircraft maintenance facility, which was over here earlier. I've gone and built out a loop along with 6 additional pads. So let's go over each one as it pertains to what it is. The field station is your more or less workhorse style upgraded pad where you have the mobile harvester or the scrap hauler where you can go to fields and not swing a hammer or a sledgehammer and be able to maneuver about. They used to also be able to deactivate enemy mines with these, but we've yet to see that in action. Your fabricator is your advanced ACV. It allows the ability to essentially build out just about anything. Now the Doru is a little interesting because it has a 12-7 gun on the top, and it's a APC, an open top APC, which can transport infantry across open water from long distances of water, as well as having a little bit of slots in there for emergency logic. Your Schmelter, your 40-45 Schmelter, heavy field gun. It is a really good push gun against armor. Anytime one's on the field, you're able to actually note because it is a slower moving push gun than your field machine guns and your battering ram. Your tumble box, which is what you saw me have on the back of my hauler, you can transport traded items and stockpile items at will. And your lamp loader, which is essentially your mobile fueler. It's a small little fuel tank, and it's used for getting fuel very, very fast. Pulled by the hauler or anything that has this little hitch icon, and you're good to go. The taurine is your heavy hauler, and you don't get stuck with that thing. It has treads, it can climb, and it has armor. Moving on. We are heading over here to the motor pool. The standard whenever it comes to upgrading tanks. This is where it all begins. This is where upgrading your vehicles starts at. You have your Percusio, which is your T5 Percusio armored car. It fires a 14.5 millimeter anti-tank gun. It is good for skirmishing and good for support when it's needed. Your Gemini fires RPGs. It is a quad mountain RPGs, or no, excuse me, a dual launching RPG, twin launchers. Your Ixion, which is your 30 mil tank ed. This is good for early advancements, especially with armor. Now, everybody loves a good barbecue. Your Vesta, which is your flame tank kit. It does medium flame damage and it can light things on fire and get it to tier 5 really fast. Your Odyssey is a little bit more of a slightly armored variant than your Argonaut Jeep. It still provides intel for infantry and anybody with an intel that needs it. Your Icarus is your hit and run vehicle, basically. It is a RPG fired type Jeep and is really, really solid at getting the flank on armor when they're unsuspecting. Now, your Cestus is your field AT rifle. It's good when when you just need that suppression, when you just need to strip the armor away. Your Cestus is what you would really need in a pickle. Even against super heavies and battle tanks, you'd be surprised how fast they back up. And they realize, oh, all right. Now, your battery line. This is where your rockets and your field emplacements are. You have your Rotarius, i.e. your skirmisher, or Caduceus. They fire 3 high explosive rockets. They have a capacity of 17, one loaded, 16 on standby in the inventory. It is really, really effective. Next, you have your Hades nets, which is your emplaced 3C high explosive rocket firing battery. Then your hoplite. It's basically used to transport stuff. That's the only difference between that and a half track. It upgrades to having a tow hitch. That's it. Nothing else. Just a tow hitch. Now, your pill test is a little different. Your pill test is your mortar half track. Very useful for whenever infantry is becoming overwhelming, and especially whenever you need to light up the sky on the move. Your 4C fire Dionys rocket tankette. It fires 4C high incendiary rockets. Very effective, very nimble, kind of slow sometimes, but it's very, very useful. Last but not least, in the battery line, you have your in-place AA cannon. This fires the 20 or the anti-aircraft shell, the 950 70B anti-aircraft shell. This right here is what people are going to have to start getting used to whenever they see or hear air raid sirens. We are not going to just instantly be able to aim, at willy-nilly and just be able to hit up in the sky. Just not going to work that way. Next, your tank factory. This is where the vast majority of the tanks go to get upgraded. Starting with the Vulcan. It is an upgraded variant of the Hatchet. It does light flame ammo because it's a light tank, and it's quick, it's nimble, it's fast, it's effective. It's good for burning stuff down when you need it burnt down, especially when it's tier 1 structures. Your pellet keys, which is your anti-tank vehicle. It's a light anti-tank. Lonos do not have a medium or heavy, well, I take that back. We do have a medium anti-tank. That is the Nemesis. Your pellet keys is your LTD, your light tank destroyer. It is open top. It is not my favorite, but the range more than enough makes up for it. Your Kroneshka. Think of a hatchet with a little bit more armor and is on crack whenever it's going zoom zoom. It has a speed boost, and it's very effective on flanking tank lines in mass. Tried and true Sparta. Faster firing than its predecessor, the Falchion. It has what's considered an auto-loading turret, but not really because it's a very fast-loading turret. And it is it's really, really solid. Then you have the Rancher, or as people like to dub it, the Quadiche. Its front gun is a 12-7 machine gun, while the secondary, which is fired from the commander seat, which is 4 RPGs. Next is your emplacement, 75mm, a Raptura. Think of a stationary turret that fires a mini nuke. It's insane. It's good and solid against tanks. When they find out that there's a Raptura in an emplacement, they will try their best to target that emplacement. And finally, on the tank factory, your Ballista, your siege tank. It is an upgraded variant from the Scorpion, and it's very, very slow, heavily armored, and it's designed to absolutely take out enemy positions. I will have at least one of everything built up and one of everything built from the pad whenever I cover all other vehicles. Next, your weapons platform. Talos. Cheap BT. Very, very, very good when you have a tank crew that knows how to use it to its effect. Fires a 75mm shell. The armor is very light. More than makes up for it in damage. Your Stygian bolt, which is a 94.5 field gun. It's a tank deleter, especially if it's a medium tank. Here's a tank. It'll remove it from the field very fast. Your 4250 Electo heavy cannon. It is a push siege cannon. That's it. It's a push cannon. Very effective at taking out tier 3 structures, mind you. Extremely effective at breaching. Next we have your Naval Works. This is what's used for building your large ships, your submarines, your underground bunkers, and stuff like that because of certain things. You remember the thermal shielding that I covered on the ammo factory? This is where it comes into play. You can take a look at where it shows for thermal shielding for a naval hull segment. Foundational elements required to construct the hulls of large naval ships. Certain ships require a lot of hull segments. Very simple. Next, your naval shell plating. 1 thermal shielding, 2 construction material. Highly resistant external plating used to protect naval vessels from damage and wear. And last but not least, naval turbine components. This is essentially the engines. That is, in a nutshell, your Naval Works. This is where you go to build and start piecing together the items needed at dry docks for it. Last but not least, your advanced structure manufacturing. Starting with the 3 components needed for the rocket. You have the A0E9 rocket booster, the A0E9 rocket body, and the A0E9 rocket warhead. 1 full day, 1 full day, 1 full day. Keep in mind, I plan to build one, so this will get cut down big time. Next, this is what's needed to be placed on this monstrosity right here. Next, you have construction parts, which is used for the underground fortress, the storm cannon intel center, the radar, weather station, all of that. Without it, you don't build it. Followed by your structure parts, which is also needed. And depending on what structure you select, is what structure is needing what. Followed by Storm cannon parts needed to build the storm cannon, which fires a 300 mm shell and can fire across Texas. Your intelligence center parts. These are the parts that are needed for the intelligence center, which provides intel to other areas. Weather station parts provides information about the weather systems, which helps the movement of airplanes and detects whether or not it's a storm or any of that fact. Underground fortress parts. Underground fortresses can survive bombardment from the top, must be destroyed underneath. And last but not least, aircraft radar parts. This is used for your radar in detecting any and all aircraft. And where I'm situated, I'm going to, well, once I get the nuke built and I showcase it, I'm going to remove all of this, and I'm going to build a bunker system, and I'm going to have several of the parts ready to go. That is the small assembly pads. Next up will be the large assembly pads. And I will head over to a dry dock to show what each one, like what each boat requires and what its capabilities are. Okay, last but not least, aside from Skyhauler, which is a very massive crane. You don't need to fill it up or even power it on. It comes with a little bit of fuel, and the only way that it operates is when you have this style track on the foundation. Everyone wants to cooperate. Right here. That's the area I've seen it. So you have that, followed by here. And you are good to go. Such as whenever I showed you the blueprint trick, do the same. Because the track itself is 25, and the Skyhauler is 250. You need 275 process construction materials alone. Speaking of a large cost, each one of these pads cost 250 process construction materials as well. Now, each one has their own upgrades. You have 20 rare alloys for the aircraft assembly, 150 steel for the train assembly, and a heavy tank assembly. Like I said, I will have the bigger toys and everything built out once I have the stuff pushed over. We're going to start with the air. For the excuse me. For the Gallia, or however you want to say it, is a heavy bomber. It uses the 12.7mm and the Mark II raid breaker. Next, you have the Blind Silver. It is also, and it is a it's basically a fighter, if anything. People are saying that this is currently too expensive. I agree, because of the rare alloys and how late this is going to be. Next, you have your troop carrier with a 12.7mm defense gun. It's capable of carrying troops across Texas and doing backline raids. Last but not least, you have your dive bomber. This is what fires the strike rounds. This is different than what the Warden's torpedo bomber, where they have to get level in order to be able to launch it. That's what these are. But that's what this pad is used for. This pad, the train assembly. Oh, and all three pads can build the locomotive the coal tender, the caboose, which repairs the tracks so long as you have the steam mats in them. Oh, I know that is the infantry hold. The caboose is what I'm talking. Is what I was mentioning. If you have CMATs in the caboose, it'll repair the other tracks. And then you have the flat car. Flat car is used to transport shippables over long distances and also to stay out from being pirated by ships. All right, the blood tender. It is your first aid train car. It is a very useful car, a very useful piece of machinery when implemented because of the conversion rate from the wounded soldiers to shirts. It's very effective. Next, you have the battle car. If you don't have a battle train, build one of these and set it as a defensive structure. It's worth it. Very worth it. Last but not least, Rail Storm Cannon. It has the ability to have the ability to fire across hexes. It must be transported by track, and it has to use, I believe, heavy oil. There's also barrel heating. The time to build this is 3 days. 3 IRL days for this. This is 3 days. This is 30 minutes. This is 1 day, 12 hours. Let's take a look at the aircraft because I completely negated that. Your heavy bomber is 1 day and 12 hours. Your fighter is 18 hours. Your paratrooper plane is 1 day and 12 hours, and your dive bomber is 18 hours. Last but not least, the pad that everybody wants, but few build up to because they burn out on facility work, your heavy tank assembly. We're going to start with the SPGs, self-propelled guns. These fire 150 shells at a very rapid fire rate. They use heavy oil for fuel. It takes 1 full day to make. Next is your battle tank destroyer, the hostile. Heavily armored, does not have much on the turret traversal, so it's up to the gunner and the driver to coordinate. If the gunner says, "Hey, I need to pan right," the driver has to compensate for it, no matter the situation, because the gunner is the one that can see further ahead. The lance, the battle tank. By the way, 1 full day, 1 full day. The lance, the battle tank, fires a 75 millimeter shell and has a 12.7 infantry gun. It takes 18 hours to make. This tank is very effective on solid tank lines, and when you have 2 or more on a front, don't be scared. Play aggressive. You will have the payout. Last but not least, the Ares. A dual 75 millimeter turret that fires a 75 millimeter shell. It takes 2 full days to make. It is insane. The Ares is one of my favorite tanks to use. The Hassa is up there as well. But Nemesis has my love. I'm sorry. It does. When I cover all the vehicles and everything, I will have everything built. I will also have the nuke built up as well, to include the items and materials needed for it. Showcase what that looks like. I'm not going to fuel it. I'm not going to do the Intel Center or any of that. This way we can see what it looks like from the pieces being made to the items being placed on the pad. So with that, I will show it once everything's set. All right, the last item that I wanted to cover was the nuke. Once you have 100% ensured you have your 100 rare alloys just for the platform, which is this item itself right here, you will then build the following: the booster, the fuselage or the body, and the warhead. The booster costs 20 steel construction material, 75 thermal shielding, 55 assembly material 2s, 150 rare alloys, and 25 assembly material 5s. The body costs 20 steel construction materials, 75 thermal shielding, 65 assembly material 1s, 25 assembly material 2s, and 125 rare alloys. And the warhead: 75 rare alloys, 165 unstable substances, and 45 assembly materials. Each component takes a full day of IRL time in a real war setting in Foxhole to make. Keep in mind, these two alone, 200 rare alloys plus 150. That's 350 rare alloys, to include the 100 for the platform. That is 450 rare alloys. Once you are done and you have everything built, whenever this wants to allow me to pack it up, my Invisicrane over here is deployed, and again, the step range, it's natural. You will then grab the booster. Actually, before you grab the booster, the one thing you will need to do is coordinate with 3 intel centers in its range, which is, I believe, 2,000 meters, to be able to target wherever in its radius. Once those 3 intel centers have identified the target that you want to hit, you will first pick up the booster and move it over by holding right click. Once it is in place, where you see the double gear icon, you lower it by left clicking it. Next, you will grab the booster and do the same. And lastly, you will finish the warhead and complete the sequence of stacking this on. Now you might be curious, how does this go on here? Same as you put the booster on. Line it up with the double gear icon. You grab the last piece that is needed, the rocket warhead. Bring it over to the base and the body, and you will be good to go. Keep in mind, it's still going to take 2 full days on top of everything you just did to fill it up as well. You now have your rocket. Once you have everything set, you need heavy oil. Once it is full, you enter the codes as needed, and then you launch it. Once it's launched, it will completely remove anything from being able to be built in the area, such as if I was to target the blemish, for example. If I target the blemish and I hit this this down base, it will go from green to red. Red means it is completely gone. And this is what the full icon on the map looks like. That takes care of all of the advanced facility stuff that I know of. And everything that I can share knowledge base whenever it comes to facilities. The next series will be on defenses of what I know, to include the storm cannons, the intel centers, the weather centers, the underground bunkers, all of it. That will take place in sections because you have to check out certain stuff. I appreciate everybody staying tuned and watching this long. And if you could, please give the video a thumbs up, hit that subscribe button, and if you didn't like it, hit the thumbs down. I understand it's lengthy, but there is a lot to go over. And I mean a lot. With that, I will definitely catch y'all on the next one.